The Viking legacy. We covered how Vikings went down in history, why they are some of the most romanticized groups of people. Therefore, the Viking Age became one of the most romanticized pasts. We learned how blood, war, and gore became the image of the violent Viking, and how that can be quite damaging. Now, that's just one part of the Viking legacy, but there's a much more important part to the Viking legacy. One that teaches about heritage, tradition. It's about reconnecting to old ways and old senses of community. It's a recreation of the Viking past, but one open to everyone. Okay, so our next part of our journey brings us to here in Denmark, and we're going to be talking about the sort of fight for the Viking legacy in a Viking festival. Well, I already said it, in Denmark. So about an hour away from Copenhagen, there's a Viking festival. Now mind you, I have no idea what to expect, so I thought I would just go around and ask people what exactly they do here.
My day job is caretaking for a handicapped.
Oh, right.
And beekeeping is my hobby, and so is Viking. So a few weeks in the year you just leave the society alone, no power, and then go back to the roots, cooking on bonfires and and actually talking to people without having your phones or your TV or your radio or anything to interrupt you.
So you explained that it's kind of like they try to make this experience as authentic as possible.
See, there's a guy coming with water now.
Oh wow, that is very cool.
You see, everybody goes authentic. The leather shoes, I bet you he knows who made the shoes, and his wife or himself sewn his jeans. And they're probably colored with walnut, since they're brown.
And so a couple of things that I've noticed is that everyone, for the most part, is trying to live as authentically as possible. All the clothes are hand sewn, all the cutlery made themselves, all the pottery made themselves, everything made themselves. And so one of the ways that people are most describing why they come to these Viking festivals and what they like so much is that it's not so much the Viking past, it's more about the Viking way of life and how they see it. Like, they like the simple way of life. They like the only having to worry about getting up in the morning, cooking your food, eating your food, playing, sleeping, and not being connected to the phone. It's much more grounded in a sort of community, in a sort of nature. It's truly, truly beautiful.
So as you can recall from our past episodes, the term Viking is actually specifically a job.
The first thing that we need to be clear about is that Viking doesn't designate an ethnicity or anything like that. It's actually more a profession. And we can see this in the runestones that they carved themselves. They talk about going a Viking or being a Viking.
But the term Viking, I think, has changed throughout history. You see, Viking is the term that is popular. It's what people associate with, the Viking Age, although that was only a tiny percent of the population. So by using a term such as Viking Festival or Viking Exhibit, it attracts more people to learn about Scandinavian society during the Middle Ages. So Viking in this context is referring to something more than just a job. It is referring to more of a typical way of life that pertains to the Viking Age, not solely the profession.
On that note, let's go talk to some of the reenactors.
So of course, I have to ask why exactly they decide to come out here and reenact the Viking lifestyle for about 2 weeks in the summer. It can't be easy to leave the comforts of bed, electricity, TV behind. So what exactly does the Viking legacy mean to them?
Well, I think because I studied it and I was always mostly interested in the human aspect of it. So I just like the idea of just slowing it all down. Just trying to imagine what they would have thought of. I would never say we about Vikings because they were very different, their entire mindset and their build-up. But I like this idea of having just a life that's about how's the weather and what's for dinner. And everything else is just in between. There's no stressing, I think it's lovely.
I do this because it makes me feel free to put down my phone and shut off the television, park my car up there and just be in it. Just be here, forget about the time and
I love being here you're more in the now and not in the phone, or you should do all sorts of stuff in the daily routine. So you're just in the now.
And so straight off the bat, one of the things that I want to point out of this place that seems really great is that apart from it having a Viking Festival where it's sort of more interactive, they also have a museum and an old archaeological site. So education is still very embedded within this entire thing. So of course, as part of the Viking Festival, they're near an archaeological site, or it's kind of part of the same thing. So you can come visit the archaeological site, which is always freaking fun, and you can learn about the longhouses. So on this side, you had where the warriors and the archers would stay within this sort of mound in times of war. And then on the outside, we have where the rocks would outline the other longhouses where the women and children would be. Kind of cool, right?
And so another great way that they teach people about their heritage is by doing activities.
So there's a lot of great activities that you can do in this village, such as archery, and you can also learn how to make bread. A lot of cool, kind of cultural experiences to kind of give you an idea of how things worked back then, since we're making bread.
And so activities like these are extremely important because it teaches people about other aspects of life during the Viking Age. It reminds people that it wasn't only blood and gore and war and violent Vikings, right? There was more to this time period.
And some nuts you can put on. Thank you. And then we also have some of it.
Come in, cinnamon,
Yeah.
cinnamon.
And of course, not that violence isn't cool, because there's also a spot for that. They have live reenactments. If you can look behind me and see that there's currently a Viking reenactment going on, and this is probably what we most think of as the most violent part.
I'm Ødian. I'm from Norway, doing Viking reenactment with the Vikings, a fighting group. We do a lot of fighting every weekend and go to markets like I'm here right now in Teleborg in Denmark. We are fighting the whole week and have big fights in the weekend. And while I'm here, I'm building a bed so we have somewhere to sleep. I'm building it right here, right now. It's based on the Oseberg bed. So they have dragon heads, but in my group we like ducks, so I'm having duck heads.
Oh, brilliant.
And so battle reenactment groups display Viking battle training tactics, formations, assaults, live team combat, and competitive duels. They also teach the kids, and I don't know, it's kind of like a sport.
You have to get through this boundary of hitting people and getting hit, but otherwise it's just a normal sport.
The million-dollar question, of course, in past videos we've covered why white supremacists became obsessed with Vikings. And so, of course, the question remains, how do people make sure that white supremacists don't end up tainting these Viking spaces?
Oh, the best way to handle that kind of people is just not being that kind of people. Especially in our group, when you have tendencies like that, you get told right away if you behave like that, if you express political directions like that. We cannot be with you. So either you change the way you think about other people, either you are inclusive and you are open-minded, or you're not a part of our group.
No, it's definitely all about no racism, no bigotry. It's all about inclusion, acceptance. It's very much built on a community outside in nature, and that's what this sort of entire festival is kind of about.
And I'm on my way out actually to pick up live ducks that I will butcher later, and then some people down here have made a big oven out of clay, and then we'll roast the ducks in there.
Oh, so it's like a big community kind of.
Yeah, like people actually, when they're finished cooking, because we don't have the refrigerator, they'll go around asking, does anybody in your camp wants to eat food? So we'll have it all eaten up.
So we have the creation of a community that is trying to reconnect to old ways, a community that is inclusive and friendly, and one that tries to disconnect from the modern day by connecting to the Viking legacy. I mean, you truly feel how welcoming and warm the people are here.
The people here are so great. They're amazing friends. You can count on them. Yeah. And you live in the present when you are here, because you don't have to pick up your phone, you don't have to answer a lot of emails, or you're not working from your laptop or anything. You are just here and you're enjoying this with your friends now.
And the time is different. The time during the day is a different time zone. You just I want to eat, then I'm gonna eat. It's not you have to have a break, or you have to have. It's just, yeah, I'm doing what I want now.
But I don't know, so far I'm having a blast, and it seems to be like a very, very open space, very, very respectable. Everyone's kind of invited, and everybody's just kind of like, they want to teach you what they do, why they're here, why they think this is so cool. So yeah, it's kind of brilliant.